The Sixth Sense wasn't just a ghost story. It was a psychological trap that rewired how audiences saw the supernatural on film. Behind its chilling silence and twist ending lay a storm of creative battles, sleepless nights, and eerie coincidences that still unsettle those who made it. From hidden clues in every frame to emotional breakdowns on set, this is the untold story behind the whispers. These are 20 weird facts about The Sixth Sense, and one final bonus that will haunt you long after the credits fade. Number 20. M. Night Shyamalan wrote The Sixth Sense after being rejected by multiple studios, who told him ghost stories were over. He pushed forward anyway, rewriting the script 12 times before landing Bruce Willis. When Disney bought it for a modest sum, they had no idea it would explode into a cultural phenomenon. Shyamalan's twist ending was nearly cut during production because executives feared audiences wouldn't understand it. But the director refused to change a word. That defiance turned him into an overnight sensation and reshaped the thriller genre forever. What nobody expected was how that same twist would become both his blessing and his curse, defining his entire career for decades to come. Number 19. Bruce Willis wasn't supposed to be in The Sixth Sense. He joined the film only because of a contractual obligation. After a legal dispute with Disney over a failed project, Willis owed them one movie, so they handed him Shyamalan's Ghost script as a form of repayment. At first, he didn't believe in the story, but Shyamalan convinced him with a single emotional pitch during their first meeting. That reluctant performance became one of the most restrained and haunting roles of his career. Ironically, the film he was forced into saved his reputation at the box office and earned him critical respect he hadn't seen in years. Sometimes the ghosts you're forced to face become the ones that set you free. Number 18. Haley Joel. Osment was only 10 years old when he stunned the world with his performance. He was the last child to audition, and Shyamalan immediately knew he had found Cole. The director said Osment read the script with an emotional depth that made the room fall silent. Every tear you see on screen was real. He was so invested in the character that crew members began to protect him between takes like he was living inside the story. Osment didn't just act scared, he lived fear. That emotional truth made The Sixth Sense believable, even when it slipped into the supernatural. The movie's horror worked because it came from a child's genuine confusion between life and death. Number 17. Every color red in The Sixth Sense meant something. Shyamalan used it as a code to mark the presence of the supernatural. Whenever red appeared, from the doorknob to the balloon to the girl's dress, it symbolized the collision between the living and the dead. It wasn't random design. It was deliberate psychological warfare. Viewers didn't realize they were being conditioned to anticipate fear subconsciously. The production team guarded this secret color theory through post-production, never revealing it until years later. It's one of the reasons the movie holds up on repeat viewings. You're not just watching ghosts, you're decoding them in real time. Number 16. The film's Philadelphia locations weren't chosen for convenience. They were chosen for their ghosts. Shyamalan grew up in the city and wanted the story grounded in places that already felt haunted. Many of the houses used in filming were over a century old, and locals warned the crew of strange noises during night shoots. Shyamalan refused to film on soundstages, insisting that the natural creaks and echoes of real locations gave the movie its authentic tension. Every frame breathes with the city's age and memory, as if Philadelphia itself was whispering to the dead. Number 15. Toni Collette didn't know she was auditioning for a horror film. She thought The Sixth Sense was a quiet drama about a struggling single mother until she read the final pages of the script. By then, she was emotionally trapped. Shyamalan gave her minimal direction on set, encouraging her to treat every scene as if she were protecting her real son. During the iconic dinner scene, she broke down crying, without cue or rehearsal, stunning the crew into silence. Her raw emotion grounded the supernatural elements in heartbreak. Without Colette's humanity, the film's twist would have felt like a trick instead of a tragedy. What she gave the movie was a soul, and that's something no special effect could replace. Number 14. The famous line, "I see dead people," almost never made it into the movie. Shyamalan originally wrote it as a temporary placeholder, but when Haley Joel Osment delivered it during filming, the entire crew froze. They realized they had just captured the emotional heartbeat of the story. That one line became cinema history, repeated endlessly in trailers, parody, and pop culture for decades. Yet Osment said he didn't understand its global impact until years later. The simplicity of those 4 words transformed The Sixth Sense from a suspense film into a cultural touchstone. It wasn't a line, it was a revelation, whispered through generations of moviegoers. Number 13. The movie's ending was kept a total secret from most of the crew. Shyamalan printed the final pages of the script on red paper so they couldn't be photocopied. Only Bruce Willis and the director knew the full twist. Even Toni Collette filmed her scenes without knowing Dr. Malcolm Crowe was dead. That secrecy paid off in genuine confusion and realism on screen. When the final reveal hit during test screenings, some studio executives gasped out loud, thinking they'd missed something crucial. The twist wasn't just a surprise, it was the result of psychological manipulation on every level of production. Shyamalan didn't want his actors to perform shock. He wanted them to live it. Number 12. The sound design of The Sixth Sense is more terrifying than its visuals. Shyamalan worked closely with sound editors to craft silence that felt alive. Every whisper and creak was layered with faint human breaths and slowed down cries recorded from the actors. These were played at barely audible levels to create subconscious unease. The director said sound was his invisible ghost. The audience could feel it even if they couldn't hear it. In some theater mixes, frequencies were adjusted to vibrate against the chest during tense scenes. It wasn't jump scares that frightened people. It was the feeling that something was breathing just out of sight. Number 11. The hospital ghost scene was filmed in total darkness. Shyamalan wanted Osment to genuinely fear what he couldn't see. To capture authentic terror, he told the boy that something would appear beside him, but didn't say when. When the camera rolled and the crew member in ghost makeup stepped forward, Osment's gasp was completely real. Shyamalan apologized afterward, but kept the take. That one moment sold the entire tone of the movie. Not shock, not gore, but raw human fear. The director later admitted he felt guilty about it, yet believed that truth always comes from discomfort. In that shadowed corridor, cinematic history was born. Number 10. The Sixth Sense almost collapsed during editing. After filming, Rapt Shyamalan reviewed the early cut and realized the pacing felt broken and confusing. The tension wasn't building the way he imagined. So he went back into the editing room with a radical idea: to reframe the entire movie from the boy's perspective rather than the psychologist's. By restructuring scenes and reordering transitions, the emotional focus shifted from logic to fear. The story stopped being about ghosts and became about loneliness. That single change turned an average thriller into a haunting masterpiece. Even the studio executives were stunned by the transformation. Go ahead and like and subscribe, because the next facts get even darker and stranger than what you think you know. What audiences saw was magic, but behind that magic was desperation and late-night reassembly that saved a doomed film. Number 9. One of the creepiest scenes in the movie, the ghost girl vomiting in her bedroom, was inspired by a real local legend in Philadelphia. Shyamalan heard stories about a girl who was believed to have been poisoned by her mother. The director reimagined it as a ghostly cry for justice. The girl's room set was built to resemble a child's coffin, with walls closing in visually. Actress Misha Barton was terrified during the shoot and could only stay in makeup for short bursts because of its realistic pallor and smell. The makeup artists used chilled prosthetics to make her skin appear lifeless on camera. That realism disturbed even the crew. The line between performance and nightmare blurred, and everyone walked away from that set a little shaken. Number 8. Bruce Willis barely spoke to anyone between takes. He stayed in quiet isolation throughout production, maintaining the withdrawn calm of his character. Some crew members even thought he was angry or disinterested, but Shyamalan later revealed it was deliberate. Willis had entered a meditative rhythm, keeping his energy low to mirror the numbness of a dead man unaware of his condition. His cold stillness made scenes with Osment even more haunting, because the boy seemed to carry all the life while the adult faded into silence. It wasn't method acting in the traditional sense. It was spiritual minimalism. When the truth about his death came out, viewers subconsciously realized they'd been watching that emptiness the entire time. Number 7. The first test screening was a disaster. The audience laughed during moments meant to be serious, and the studio executives panicked. But then something strange happened during the twist ending. The entire theater fell silent. When the credits rolled, no one moved. People began whispering to each other, replaying scenes in their minds. Word of mouth exploded the next day. Shyamalan had just witnessed the birth of a phenomenon. The movie wasn't meant to rely on shock. It thrived on the audience's need to rewatch and decode it. Every reaction, every gasp, every pause was a victory carved from failure. That night, the film went from near catastrophe to cultural lightning strike. Number 6. Bruce Willis improvised one of the most powerful moments in the film, the quiet scene where he listens to Cole's confession without interrupting. The script originally had dialogue, but Willis simply stayed silent and let Osment speak. The moment felt so intimate that Shyamalan kept it untouched. That silence became the movie's moral core. It wasn't a story about ghosts anymore. It was about understanding pain without judgment. Crew members said the entire set froze when the scene ended. It felt like therapy caught on film. Shyamalan later called it the heartbeat of the entire movie, a single unplanned pause that captured what it means to truly listen to another soul. Number 5. The Sixth Sense terrified its own director. Shyamalan often stayed alone in the editing room late at night and said he began to feel a strange presence while reviewing footage. The whispers and footsteps captured on set playback seemed too realistic. Once he claimed to hear breathing on a take where no actor was present. The sound engineers found faint background noise that didn't match any recorded mic track. Though it was likely technical interference, Shyamalan said it made him question the energy of what they had created. The film's atmosphere was so heavy that even cast members said they felt drained by the end of each shooting day. The irony of making a ghost story that haunted its creators wasn't lost on him. In a strange way, the film seemed to live beyond the camera. Number 4. Bruce Willis's wedding ring, the key clue of the entire twist, was almost cut from the film. Early drafts of the script didn't include it at all. The ring became a last-minute visual decision when Shyamalan searched for a simple object that could reveal truth without dialogue. He added it just before shooting the final scenes. During production, crew members were forbidden to discuss the prop or even touch it between takes. Its reappearance at the ending became the movie's visual exclamation mark. Without that ring, the final reveal would have fallen flat. The audience wouldn't have that shocking moment of realization. It's proof that the smallest object on set can carry the weight of the entire story. Number 3. Haley Joel. Osment refused to fake fear. Shyamalan once tried to use visual cues to guide him, but the boy insisted on knowing exactly what he was reacting to. He asked the director to describe in detail what the ghost looked like, even if he wouldn't see it until filming. Osment wanted his imagination to meet reality halfway. That intensity created performances that felt lived in, not acted. During one take, his shaking hands were real because the room temperature had been dropped to near freezing. Shyamalan used the discomfort to fuel authenticity. When Osment said, "I'm ready to tell you my secret," it wasn't just a line. It was a moment of pure emotional surrender, caught forever on film. Number 2. The Sixth Sense changed how studios treated original screenplays. Before its release, thrillers were expected to rely on either violence or spectacle. Shyamalan proved that quiet dread and emotional storytelling could dominate the box office. The film grossed over $600 million worldwide on a modest budget and earned 6 Academy Award nominations. More importantly, it revived psychological horror as an art form, paving the way for films like The Others and The Ring. Its success restored faith in risk-taking and in storytellers who blend empathy with fear. What began as a small ghost story, written by an unknown filmmaker, became the pulse that redefined a genre and reshaped an industry. Number 1. The twist ending wasn't the only hidden secret. Shyamalan filled the movie with invisible clues pointing to Dr. Crow's death. Every scene follows strict visual rules. The Doctor never opens doors, the camera never follows him into living spaces, and cold breath marks the presence of the dead. Even the restaurant scene where his wife ignores him obeys those rules perfectly. When audiences watched again, they realized the answer had been right in front of them the entire time. That brilliance turned the film into a cultural riddle, one that rewarded attention and punished complacency. It wasn't just storytelling, it was sleight of hand, executed with surgical precision. Bonus fact: The Sixth Sense's original ending was completely different. Shyamalan had considered letting Crow move on to the afterlife in a bright white light scene. But when he tested it, the audience laughed, so he replaced it with the quiet bedroom farewell. A whisper and a tear instead of heaven and spectacle. That final choice changed film history. It grounded the supernatural in love and grief. The Sixth Sense became not about death, but about saying goodbye. Even after 25 years, its power remains untouched. The ghosts may be silent, but the legacy still speaks. If you were chilled by these hidden truths, go ahead and like and subscribe, because the next story might make you question what's real and what's only seen by the Sixth Sense.